What's up, guys? Eric here, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at some of the DCEU movies that never happened. They were promised to us, and they were snatched away. It's like when you order something from Temu or Wish, and it never arrives. We have a list here compiled by Bradley. Shout out to Bradley over on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. Shout out to Bradley. This was quite a fun read and inspired me to make this video. So go check this out for yourself over on Twitter. Give them some likes on this. It's great stuff. Great stuff. There's a lot of movies in the DCEU that were promised, slated to come out, and then they never did, either because of scheduling conflicts or differences in creative ideas from directors and studios. So we're going to run through this list quickly and talk a little bit about each one of these. I'm going to give my thoughts on them. And then the game is you have to go down in the comments below and let me know your thoughts on this as well. We're going to start out with 2018, The Flash. The original idea for the Flash movie, which was set for release in March 2018, 5 months after the Justice League, was it being a more grounded street-level film showing Barry still trying to control his powers and possibly fight villains like Captain Cold. Now, I don't necessarily have an issue with that. I think that sounds like a fine first movie for The Flash, but I never liked Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. I never liked that casting, and that kind of tarnished the way I felt about the most recent Flash movie that we got. Primarily, I just did not like, there's certain actors and roles where I'm like, I'm not vibing with it. I don't like it. And so that was really what kind of ruined it for me, was Barry Allen, or Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. Now, it does sound like a better movie. So, I mean, there's that. But yeah, still not too keen on the casting of Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. Let's take a look at the second one here. The Batman, it would have been the BatFleck movie, which, by the way, I was converted. I was one of those people where I was like, I don't know if Ben can do the role. And then I actually really liked him as Batman. It goes, Ben Affleck's solo Batman movie would have featured Bruce Wayne's life being destroyed by Slade Wilson / Deathstroke, with rumors that the two being trained together in the League of Assassins by Ra's al Ghul many years ago, causing their scuffle. I think this would have been exciting. To me, this sounds like a great movie. It would have helped explain a little bit of what's going on with Batman by the time we meet Batman and BVS. And I would have totally been down with that. And I love the idea of Joe as Deathstroke. I know that a lot of people are looking forward to that. And I think he looked really good, even though that one scene that we really got to see him in. But I was a believer. I was converted to a believer in Ben Affleck as Batman. I would have loved to have seen that. I just love the whole look of his Batman. Well, not necessarily in the Flash movie. I think that suit was not great, but everything else I pretty much enjoyed when it comes to his Batman. That's a movie that I probably would have been in the front row for. Well, not the front row. Nobody wants to be in the front row. What am I talking about? Man of Steel 2 is what I'm talking about. Now, this is a movie that I would have been really, really excited for. Let's read what it would have been, and then I'll tell you what I wanted to see. There were plans for a second solo Superman movie to happen before Justice League Part 2. This movie possibly would have had a 2019 release and would have been led straight into the Justice League sequel. Problem with that is they killed off Superman, BVS. So I don't know how that would have worked, and that probably led to them scrapping the idea of this movie, because they would have had to do something that was like a prequel to BVS, which it should have been anyway. Look, I'm a firm believer that we should have gotten a proper sequel to Man of Steel, where we got to see Superman actually being Superman for the entirety of the movie. Although I do love Man of Steel, and I know it's a controversial movie, there's a lot of issues with it. I've said this before. I'm going to stop apologizing for liking this, but I like the movie. It has imperfections. It doesn't matter to me. I really wanted to see a sequel to Man of Steel where we could have seen like a more comic book version of Superman. I think that would have been amazing. I would have been totally down for that. And yeah, they should have made it happen. All right, here we go. Harley Quinn versus the Joker. Interesting. The movie was announced before Suicide Squad's release, and it would have featured Harley attempting to leave the Joker and the two having a mini civil war between them, and it would have led to Birds of Prey. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about this one. This feels like one of those, like, it could have been amazing, but it also could have been catastrophic. So it's a flip of a coin here. Jared Leto's Joker was not well received. I'm one of the few people that I liked the modernized Joker. I thought there was something there. However, some of the stuff, the humor, the lines in the Suicide Squad movie didn't work for me. So I think I understand where Jared Leto was going with his version of the Joker. I just didn't like the arrival at the destination we got there. Then we got the stuff in the Snyder Cut, completely different thing. But this would have been that Joker. It would have been that era of the Joker. And I'm sure that Harley Quinn would have been amazing with Margot Robbie. So I don't know, not too sold on that one. Number 5 was a Joker movie. Now, Jared Leto was announced to be doing a solo Joker movie set after the Suicide Squad, but the movie was canceled in favor of Todd Phillips' Joker film. Good decision. That was $1 billion movie for them. The movie probably would have been focused on the Joker's life as the Prince of Crime and possibly featured Batman in the plot. I don't know about this one. I just don't know if we would have needed a solo Joker movie. Like, we would have had Harley versus Joker, and then a solo Joker movie, and then Joker and the Suicide Squad. It just feels like a lot of Joker, and I'm not sure if that would have really worked for me. I'm not a huge fan. I know this is probably going to be like a take that people in the comments are going to like drag me for. I'm not a big fan of the Joker in general. I think he's a great villain for Batman, but I think as a standalone character, don't really care for him too much. I wasn't a big fan of the Joker movie that came out. I know a lot of people loved it. I watched it like one time, and I'll never have any interest in watching it again. All right, number 6 is Justice League Part 2. Justice League Part 2 was set for a July 2019 release. It would have featured Darkseid invading the Earth and the Justice League teaming up to stop his invasion. Had Warner Brothers made their version of Justice League 2, they probably would have used Zack Snyder's original story. That's interesting. I don't really know what that whole situation would have looked like with the Part 1, Part 2 Justice League. There's been so many rumors and things that were said about like what it would have been and what kind of movie we would have had there. I like the Snyder cut of Justice League, particularly the stuff with Cyborg. I kind of love the Cyborg stuff in that movie, and all the other stuff is great. I think there's a lot more context added to stuff. But at the end of the day, that was something that was put together between like footage that he had plus some different stuff that he wanted to do with the movie. And it's kind of like after the fact, like you see the reaction to something else, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to do my version of that. And then you were able to course correct. I don't know what this would have looked like had they actually done the proper Justice League Part 1 and 2. Number 7 is Black Manta, The Trench. Now, I was excited about this movie. A spin-off movie based on The Trench was announced after the success of Aquaman. It was revealed years later that this would have actually been a Black Manta movie that would have bridged the gap between Aquaman 1 and 2. I think that would have been really cool because, without spoilers, I think Black Manta's storyline in Aquaman 2 was very contrived. It felt very forced. It also didn't give him a lot of agency. I would have loved to have seen something like this move forward. And The Trench sounded like a great time. Number 8 is New Gods. Ava DuVernay was announced to be directing a New Gods movie for the DCEU. This would have focused on characters like Orion, Mr. Miracle, the Forever People, and a movie that I think would have been similar to Marvel's Eternals film. Okay, let's talk about this. We all saw Naomi, right? We all saw that. Now that the Naomi show and the New Gods would have been similar, because they're not the source material's not similar at all. But money aside, I don't know if Ava would have been the best choice for a New Gods movie. It would have been interesting to see what she would have done with it. But based on Naomi, I'm going to say not totally sold on it, on her work with superheroes and the superhero genre. I'm willing to give her another shot if she wants to do something different, but not something that I totally would co-sign for here. Number 9 was the Wonder Twins. I remember being baffled by this announcement. DC announced a Wonder Twins movie for an HBO release like Batgirl and Blue Beetle. Originally, KJ Apa and Isabel May were cast, but the movie was canceled just mere weeks before filming was set to begin in Atlanta due to budget concerns. I think that was also one of those things where they realized like the writing was on the wall with some of these properties that were not like the big budget superhero properties. I don't think everything has to be a big budget superhero property to be successful, but this movie would have been like the nichest of the niche audience. It could have been like their Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess, like a spinoff hit type thing. I don't think that was the case, though. I have a lot of faith in that one. This one stings. Number 10 was Batgirl. Batgirl was a movie that was actually made by Warner Brothers, but they refused to release it. The plot would have been set after The Flash with Michael Keaton as the new DCEU Batman and Barbara Gordon facing off against Firefly in an original story film. Now, I've done several videos about Batgirl. We could talk about this for hours, but I'm not going to because I'm trying to keep this video at a reasonable length here. I'm really sad about Batgirl. I wanted to see this movie. I think the movie possibly could have been a lot of fun. Would it have been a home run, massive, super successful film? I don't know. Maybe not. Either way, I would have liked to have seen what they made and let the fans decide what they think of it instead of the studio just going, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to trash it. It's already done. But we're just going to take tax money absolutely horrible. Number 11 was Black Adam 2. Black Adam 2 was in development during the making of the first film. According to Wayne Johnson's remark, the sequel possibly could have been a Black Adam versus Superman movie, seeing the two Titans clash in an epic battle. I don't really have much to say about that, to be completely honest. I mean, I feel like Shazam would have been a better character to go up against Black Adam. I mean, yes, he's fought Superman in the past, but I would like to see Shazam go up against him. Number 12 was the Green Lantern Corps. A Green Lantern movie was set for a June 2020 release that would have focused on Jon Stewart after his debut in Justice League 2 and would have also featured Hal Jordan in the plot with the two Lanterns teaming up. I mean, this could have been good. I would have liked to have seen like an actual legitimately well done Green Lantern movie. I know that the Ryan Reynolds movie gets a lot of hate. It's not a great film, but it's not as bad as people remember. Like, go back and watch that movie. It's not, if you go into it understanding it's going to be a campy film, it's really not that bad. Although there are some bad choices when it comes to CGI and stuff. I'm not going to defend that. But I would like to have seen this movie to see what it was going to be. Number 13 is Lobo. DC announced a Lobo movie for the DCEU being directed by Brad Payton. The movie probably would have been a fun cosmic adventure featuring Lobo in DC's universe of Deadpool, basically. You might still be getting something with Lobo. I don't know if I totally believe rumors or timelines right now with the DCU. We have to wait and see what's going to happen with the Superman Legacy movie. 14 is Cyborg. A Cyborg movie was set for release in April 2020. Would have featured Victor Stone, a solo journey after Justice League 2. There are rumors that the Metal Men would have been in the film. I think that probably would have been better if the original like Justice League, like the Snyder vision for Justice League would have came out, because without that, Cyborg would have felt like a character that needed a lot more building to make them work. And I don't think we got that in the Joss Whedon version. 15 is Gotham City Sirens. Before the Birds of Prey movie, DC was going to do a Gotham City Sirens film, which would have featured Harley Quinn teaming up with Catwoman and Poison Ivy in their DCEU debuts among a common enemy. The only issue with this one is it would have felt so similar to Birds of Prey. I think it would have been another like Birds of Prey type movie. I'm not saying it would have been a comedy or like anything like that, but I'm saying that like it just feels like this would have been another like Harley team up movie, and maybe it would have made a bunch of money. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in that one. 16 is Deadshot. Before Suicide Squad's release, DC announced a solo Deadshot movie set after the film that would have featured Will Smith in a solo role as Deadshot, probably facing off against other bounty hunters and assassins. Okay. 17 is Deathstroke. A Deathstroke movie was announced to be set after the Batman with Slade Wilson going on a solo journey and possibly facing off against other assassins and maybe even Ra's al Ghul. I don't know how that movie would have panned out, but I liked his casting. So there we go. 18 is Supergirl. A solo Supergirl movie was announced during the filming of The Flash and would have featured Sasha Calle's Supergirl in a solo adventure, probably trying to figure out her place in the world. Like, we're going to talk about this probably this weekend on the after party. But there were casting rumors about like who they possibly are getting for the next Supergirl. And it does really suck that Sasha's not going to get an opportunity to come back. But I told several people, I said this, the movie was such a financial disaster. I don't think anyone attached to that movie, especially people that are new to the DC world, were ever going to be attached to anything like post DCU. I just didn't see that happening. I hated to be wrong because I did like her in the movie. 19 is Crisis on Infinite Earths. The Flash movie was originally going to set up a Crisis on Infinite Earths film featuring the DC heroes facing a multiversal threat and basically DC's version of Secret Wars. This would have been really solid, but as we see in the picture here, the Arrowverse did it. Theirs is really good. Check it out. There's also some really good animated ones. Wonder Woman 3, Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot were set for a third Wonder Woman film that would have probably set in the present after the Justice League films and showed Diana dealing with the aftermath of Darkseid's war on Earth and the destruction of her home island. We don't know what's going to happen with Gal Gadot. She might still be Wonder Woman. We don't know what's happening with her in terms of this role. What's going to carry over? We're still TBD, to be determined. 21, Justice League Dark. DC was planning to do a solo films for both Zatanna and Swamp Thing, and also TV shows for both Constantine and Madame Xanadu. These 4 projects would have been crossover in a Justice League Dark movie show. Would have been cool, but so many things were just didn't happen. 22, Hawkman. During the weeks leading up to Black Adam, DC announced a solo Hawkman movie with Aldous Hodge. Probably would have showed Hawkman's home planet of Thanagar and maybe would have been a more cosmic film. I want to just put this out there when it comes to Black Adam. For me, the shining stuff in that movie was everything about the JSA. I loved how they set it up. It wasn't totally like the JSA we know, but I totally love the way they set it up. I like the new characters added. I like Dr. Fate. I loved Aldous as Hawkman. I would have loved to have seen something with Hawkman, but I really, really would have loved to see just a JSA, a proper JSA movie. 23 was Nightwing. A Nightwing movie was being developed for the DCEU. It was later revealed that DC would have retconned Robin's death from BVS into Jason Todd, and that Dick Grayson would have still been alive the whole time and operating as Nightwing and Bloodhaven. I mean, that's the way it should have been. I don't know what they mean totally by retcon, because I don't think it was totally established. Maybe I'm forgetting. 24 is a Static Shock. DC was developing a Static Shock movie, which was being produced by Michael B. Jordan. The movie was going to be one of the films WB was making for a straight to HBO release. Yeah, RIP all of those movies. 25 is Black Canary. DC announced a solo Black Canary movie with Journey Smollett Bell. Returning from Birds of Prey on a solo adventure, she probably would have been facing a street level threat. I liked her in Birds of Prey. She was one of the characters that I really enjoyed in that movie, and I would have loved to have seen her like move on in a Black Canary movie. But I understand how they're trying to restructure everything. It just wouldn't have worked. 26 is Blackhawks. DC announced a Blackhawks film, which would have been a very different DCEU movie that focused on a Black Ops military squad going on dangerous missions. Okay. 27 is Plastic Man. DC announced a Plastic Man movie for the DCEU. This probably would have been a lighthearted comedy film as Plastic Man made his live action debut. Look, I will say this. It is really, really, really hard to do stretchy stuff when it comes to live action. I think that the Arrowverse did a really good job on it. And outside of that, I haven't seen stretchy stuff really work. So a Plastic Man movie would have been quite interesting. Plus, Plastic Man is really powerful. I don't think people totally understand how powerful he is. 28, The Metal Men. DC announced the Metal Men movie for the DCEU. The Cyborg movie happened. These characters were rumored to be in a film. That this would have been a spinoff of showing the Metal Men and their own adventure. I know a lot of people like the Metal Men. I never really totally got into them, but I think they're kind of cool. I don't know how they would have made that work. It would have been a lot of VFX. 29 is Batman Beyond. A live-action Batman Beyond movie was announced in the DCEU and would have focused on Terry McGinnis and the future DCEU as he becomes the new Batman. That is the last one on the list. I would have loved a Batman Beyond movie, and I think we could still get one. I think if we're talking about like properties that DC could do in an Elseworlds situation, I think Batman Beyond would be the perfect one to do, and I would totally co-sign to that. So there we go. Those are DCEU film projects that were announced that never happened. They either got canceled before they ever got in production, or some of them, looking at you, Batgirl, were destroyed after they were done, which is a total disaster in my opinion. Which ones would you have wanted to see? Are there any on that list that you hoped would have come out? Are there some that you're still holding on to hope? Like maybe they'll come out in the DCU. Maybe James Gunn will make them. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you have any other ones that you'd like to throw in there that weren't on this list, because I don't know if the list was totally comprehensive. I thought it was just fun to talk about. But if there's anything else that was announced that was not on that list, please leave it in the comments below. If you enjoy this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel, become part of the Airrickverse. And thanks to all the people on Team Airrick who are still signed up. If you would like to become a Team Airrick member for our upcoming live streams, we're going to be doing a lot more live streams moving forward. Hit that join button and become part of the team. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you in the next video. Take care.